So you got your Monstera Deliciosa. You got your new little baby here. Now what? So first of all, they've got these little heart-shaped leaves, but not for long, right? As they grow, they will begin to get fenstrations. So that's what you can see behind me. As that guy starts to get these let light in below. So that's also why I love this as a symbol or a trophy or kind of a symbol of my brand with Move.Breathe.Create. They're always growing, they're always searching for the light, they're always climbing, but they leave light and shed light down below them. So these naturally kind of grow like in the rainforest floor and grow up trees. And what's cool is I believe they're called epiphytes, which means that they don't harm the tree that they're climbing, and then if anything, they can enhance that environment. And what's really cool about those fenestrations too is they let that light through, but they also kind of send signals to like the bugs, like maybe there's something wrong with it, there's holes in the leaf. So I like that they kind of have that natural defense mechanism in it too. But this is absolutely one of my favorite plants. It can go inside. If it goes inside, just make sure you got it in front of a window. You don't want to have it in a north kind of side of your house, ideally like a south facing window or something that gets morning light, like an east facing window would be ideal. You know, my patio out here is west facing, there's lots of trees, there's a screened in pool, so there's nothing but filtered light out here. So this is kind of an ideal environment for houseplants. It's Florida, but it's also kind of covered. It gets that little filtered light and it's humid out here all the time. Have tons of plants inside too. I don't really have any Monsteras going inside right now because I don't have the room for them because I got all my other stuff in there. So if you have more questions, just add them in the comments, but I'm gonna show you some crazy stuff that I do with these, even breaking them up so that they can go outside and climb up some trees, some of my cuttings and some of the other kind of stuff. So learn about the Monstera Deliciosa. So you got your Monstera, now where'd you put your Monstera? So this is kind of like my plant. This guy sits outside, covered patio out by the pool. You know, this is kind of my little zone. This is where I hang out and I watch TV. I do a little of my reading, my breathing, all that kind of stuff. But I got another one right here. So ideal is this kind of, you know, humid environment that gets bright indirect light. It's never exactly under the sun out here, but it does get kind of full light. Don't mind my pool, I just shocked it. I know it's a little bit green. So here's some of my other greenery. A lot of these are just plants I've split up and I got going. So here's another example of a Monstera. I've got a cutting going right here that is rooting right now. You can see it's getting all that white and all that kind of stuff going. So I'm gonna get that guy climbing up some trees pretty soon. And here's another cuttings that I've got. This one I was trying to get inside, but it wasn't quite getting enough light or humidity. So I've got some right there as well too. So this is kind of the ideal environment. If you're gonna go outside, can you find a porch or somewhere that's kind of like bright, but not stupid bright? So here's another place I've got a Monstera. Once again, I got another cutting out here. There's two different plants in there. And the whole idea there is it's, you know, doesn't get bright light, but it gets light. And, you know, it's not totally shade, it's not totally dark. But what they ideally would do is they'd have an environment that they could climb. Like this one's super happy. I'm going to replant this one soon. I'm gonna put a couple pieces of bamboo in there so it has something to crawl up to, and that will organize it and climb it a little bit. But you can see when they start to get those fenstrations are really cool because they allow the light to get down to the bottom of the plant or to other plants down below in the canopy. It also kind of shows predators, like if they see holes in it, they go, oh, there might be something wrong with that leaf. So that's why I love the Monstera Deliciosa as kind of the ideal representation of kind of my brand and what we got going on with EFD and Move.Breathe.Create, because they climb, they're always moving up, they're always searching for the light, and they also always leave room to shed light onto others and so that others can make that climb as well too. So here's a little bit of what to do with your Monstera. All right, hello. So here is a little beautiful Monstera Deliciosa. And what's cool is this thing has nearly like 10 different stalks. And I'm used to getting these things from cuttings and only having like one or two maybe in an individual plant. So this would grow up to be a big, luxurious plant. But what I'm hoping to do is if the roots aren't too tied together and I cannot distress the plant too much, I'm gonna try to plant it all the way around it so someday it'll grow up this little palm I got going here. So here's the risky part. I'm breaking it up and look, she's root bound, man. We got these roots wrapping around, all that kind of stuff. So this thing might actually be happier if I can break it up a little bit. So I just kind of tread lightly a lot of times when I do this. Don't want to go too crazy. And look how much soil is just kind of loosening up in there. This one's nice and hard. But I'm gonna try to get these guys separated. Man, they're really in there. Hi, family. Think I can get these separated, Addie? Addie, you wanna come help me? Sure. Okay, I'm filming you, so come right here. So look, I'm trying to break up all these roots and see how many of these I can turn into different plants. Because see how their roots are all cray-cray? So this could grow up to be one big, really big, happy, healthy plant, or I can make this like a whole bunch of different plants and it can grow up this thing. Oh man, I'm getting it loose, it's happening. It's just one thing at a time, and how it was so root bound up top, whatever this root was up top was just literally like almost like choked out. Look at that thing, Eddie. See how it's all crazy? But they're loosening up, and although there's like nearly 10 different plants here, I think I'm gonna be able to break this into maybe 2, 3 different kind of like little plant pods. And if that's the case, then I can kind of spread this out and maximize what I've got. See, let's see how these things are continually coming unwound. Isn't that crazy? I'm just getting rid of all this little soil in between them. And these Monsteras are pretty hardy. So Eddie, as soon as I get some done, I want you just to go plant them in that little hole over there. I already kind of pre-dug a few holes. And then you can start putting these things in here. I am almost there. Ooh, there we go. So we got one by itself. Go put that in one of those holes over there. Maybe Colton's gonna come help us too. No, Addie, right here. Like they're literally right here. Here's another one. You can put this in the same hole with that one. There we go. So just right there. There's a little hole right there. There's a little hole right there. Go to that other side. So I got 2 more right here. Actually 3 more. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just put this guy in here. And then I've got another 2 together here. So if this is the case, I think I can get 2, 2, and 2.
Okay, I did it.
Oh, here's 2. That's a little baby one. Okay, is there another hole over there? There's another hole on the other side. Go put these 2 in over there.
Okay.
Go put those in over there. All right, so really this thing had 9 plants. So if this guy takes and I can keep my son out of playing in here, Colton, you're gonna have to be careful not to come in here, bro. We're gonna have baby Monsteras going nuts in here. And I don't have like extra dirt right now. I'm literally just gonna use what I had, pack them in there. I like that Addie's getting her hands dirty and she's getting them in there too. And whatever we got, so whatever we got. So we're planting our little baby Monsteras. All right, so I got the Monsteras split up basically into 8 different individual little vines. So it's cool is I got 2, 2, and 2. So I might let one kind of go up and let the other one climb, or I might train them both to climb. And this area gets, you know, kind of a decent amount of light. So this is probably a little bit bright for like what a Monstera would like, but I think it's gonna be really happy here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dump some of this water on here, and then I use this Super Thrive stuff, which is basically like an organic, it's like kelp and like fish oils and kind of natural stuff, but this is supposed to help it kind of root and give it kind of some natural fertilizer that doesn't mess up our environment. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these guys watered. Because I broke them up and because they're outside, I'm gonna water these every day to make sure that their roots get that kind of saturation and that they have a chance to literally take root. After I've done like every day for about a week, I'll cut back to every other day, and then, you know, every 3 days. But I'm gonna pay a lot of attention to this front garden, but it's also about to be March in Florida. So this is kind of like prime time really to plant stuff. So if you do go outside with your Monstera, now might be the ideal time to do it. So when and how much to water your Monstera. So basically you want to water it so that it will drain all the way through. You can leave it in that little pot that it's in for a long time if you want to. The one that I took out was a little bit root bound, so you guys might want to repot it. If you do repot it, you really only want to go, especially that size, maybe like a 1 inch bigger pot. I know Yura Vine's got some sweet pots these days. So go ahead and just repot it with a little bit, use a little bit extra soil that drains pretty well. As far as watering it, really only once a week. Once a week, let it get a little bit dry. If you can put your finger into the dirt, you know, an inch or two down, and that it is dried out, that's usually the sign like, hey, it needs water. Really how much water it needs is relative to its environment. So, you know, the ones that are outside a lot of times get enough from their humidity, but I make sure I pay attention to those. Inside, if it's in a little bit of a darker spot, it might go a little bit longer than that. Or if it's in a really bright spot like they are in the front window at Pure, like I water those twice a week because they get tons and tons of light. So if it gets more light, it needs more water, but you definitely don't want to overwater it. If the soil is dry, like if you can push to the top and it's still like damp, or you can see it's darker in color, do not water it. Okay, so find a good spot for it. You know, it has to have the right environment. You don't want to overwater it. That's the #1 way that everybody kills their plants. They overwater it. Make sure that it's not in a dark spot. It needs to be in front of a window or very close to a window if it's inside. If it's outside, it doesn't need direct, really bright sunlight. Ideally, it's, once again, underneath a tree, has a little bit of shade, bright indirect light. So I hope you love your Monstera. It symbolizes your personal growth. And once again, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. Hey, it's Garrett McCoy. Welcome to Squat Flow. Garrett McCoy, welcome to Squat Flow. I've made a big deal out of this position.